Your grandfather worked in a factory for 30 years. Same shift, same floor, same machine. And by the end of it, he owned a house, raised kids, maybe had a pension, took a vacation or two. Now picture someone today. College degree, 2 jobs, side hustle on weekends, 80-hour weeks, tracking every dollar, and they're still renting. Same effort, completely different result. So either something broke or something was never what we thought it was. There's a story we've been told since childhood. Work hard, stay disciplined, the money will follow. It's not a bad story. It's just no longer the whole story. And the gap between those two things, between the story and the reality, is quietly costing millions of people their financial lives. Not because they're lazy, not because they're dumb, but because the rules changed, and nobody sent the memo. In 1971, something happened that almost nobody outside of economic circles talks about. The United States cut the dollar's tie to gold. Before that moment, every dollar in circulation was technically backed by a physical metal sitting in a vault. Money had a ceiling. Governments couldn't just create unlimited amounts of it. After 1971, that ceiling disappeared. Money became, in a very real sense, a number that governments and central banks could adjust, expand, contract, print, and distribute based on policy decisions made in rooms most people will never enter. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. When you work a 60-hour week and earn a paycheck, that paycheck is denominated in that number. And that number has been slowly, quietly, systematically losing its value ever since. The money didn't disappear. It just got smaller, quietly, year after year. Let's make that real. In 1980, a median American worker earned around $19,000 a year. The median home price was about $64,000. That's roughly 3.5 years of salary to buy a house. Today, the median household income is around $74,000. The median home price is over $400,000. That's more than 5 years of salary. And that's before interest, before insurance, before property taxes. Work harder today than your parents did. Make more money in raw numbers, and still be further from the finish line. That's not a motivation problem. That's a math problem. But here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. While wages grew slowly, chasing inflation, never quite catching it, something else was growing much, much faster. Assets, stocks, real estate, businesses, intellectual property. Over the last 50 years, asset prices have dramatically outpaced wage growth. The S&P 500, the index that tracks America's biggest companies, has returned an average of roughly 10% per year over the last century. Average wage growth over the same long period? Around 3 to 4% annually. That gap is not an accident. It's the architecture of modern wealth. If you own assets, you get 10%. If you sell your time, you get 4%. And the longer this runs, the wider the canyon gets between people who own things and people who work for things. Now here's where it gets counterintuitive. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. When interest rates are cut, money becomes cheap. Cheap money flows into investments. Stock prices go up. Property values go up. The people who already hold those assets get wealthier without doing anything new. When the economy struggles, governments inject liquidity. More money in the system. That money, again, finds its way into assets first, not wages. There's a term for this. Economists call it the Cantillon effect. Whoever is closest to the source of new money benefits most. By the time that money trickles down to wages, it's already inflated prices on the way there. The worker gets the money last, and by then it buys less. Now let's zoom in on something even more personal. Think about 2 people, same age, same city, same starting salary. Call them Anna and Marcus. Anna gets a raise every year. Disciplined saver. Puts money in a savings account. Works her way up. By 45, she has a healthy salary and $80,000 saved. Marcus earns slightly less in his 20s because he used his savings to buy a small rental property at 28. It wasn't glamorous. It needed work, but he held it. By 45, that property has nearly doubled in value. He's pulling in passive income every month. His net worth is 3 times Anna's, and he works fewer hours. Anna did everything right. By every conventional measure, she won the game. And she's still behind. Not because she failed, because she was playing the old game with the old rules in a new system. This is the uncomfortable part. The modern economy doesn't primarily reward effort. It rewards ownership. And ownership requires capital. And capital requires either inheritance, access to cheap debt, or a period of sacrifice so brutal that most people, statistically, don't survive it intact. Think about what that means. If you come from a family with assets, you start ahead. Your parents can help with a down payment. You can take career risks because there's a safety net. Failure is an option. For you, it's a story you tell later. If you come from nothing, failure isn't a story. It's a setback you're still paying off. The starting line is not the same, and no amount of extra hours changes the position of the starting line. There's a study from Harvard economist Raj Chetty and his team that tracked millions of Americans across generations. The findings were stark. The chances of earning more than your parents, what economists call absolute mobility, have dropped from about 90% for children born in the 1940s to around 50% for those born in the 1980s. 50%. A coin flip. The American dream, statistically speaking, is now a 50-50 bet. And it's getting worse, not better. So why does the myth persist? Because it's useful. A workforce that believes hard work guarantees wealth is a workforce that works harder. That asks fewer questions. That blames itself when it falls short, instead of interrogating the structure it's working within. The myth of meritocracy is not just an idea. It's a management tool, and it's been running, largely unchallenged for generations. When someone works 80 hours a week and still can't afford a home, the story they're handed is, you didn't work smart enough. You didn't save hard enough. You made the wrong choices. Individual failure. Clean, simple, keeps the structure invisible. But here's the final layer. The people who understand this, who see the architecture, who grasp how asset ownership compounds while wages stagnate, they're not all villains. Some of them are just people who learned the real rules earlier. And they used those rules. And then they told their children. And their children started ahead. Knowledge isn't equally distributed. And neither is the vocabulary to even ask these questions. Most financial education teaches people how to budget inside a broken system, not how to understand that the system itself has structural biases baked in. Here's where we land. Not at a solution, at a question. If the economy is structurally designed to compound wealth for those who already have it, and to ration opportunity for those who don't, then what exactly are we rewarding when we praise hard work? Is hard work a path to wealth? Or is it the price of admission to a game where the prize was already allocated before you arrived? Your grandfather's factory job built a life. Your 60-hour week builds. What exactly? That's not a rhetorical question. It's the question nobody has cleanly answered yet. And until we do, the advice stays the same. Work harder. If this made you see something differently, the like button is right there. And if you're the kind of person who asks questions that don't have comfortable answers, subscribe, because that's all we do here. But before you go, think about this. If you found out the game was rigged from the start, would you still play it? Or would you finally start asking who's holding the dice?